Welcome to the Filmsteins, the podcast where we discuss all things movies. Join us as we dive deep into the latest releases, revisit classic films, and explore the art of cinema. Whether you're a film fanatic or just love a good flick, we've got you covered. From Hollywood blockbusters to indie gems, we'll be breaking down the storytelling, cinematography, and everything in between. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready for some cinematic magic. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $20 tier grants the ability to request films for future episodes. This is the Filmsteins, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. All around you. And we're back with another great episode of the Filmsteins, the fastest growing podcast in South Korea and Canada.
Whoa.
Yep. And I'm joined today by my friend who mocks me, Lucy.
Hello, everyone. I do not mock, per se.
And we're talking about a classic that you were on a little trend here with you that you recommended we watch. To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962's To Kill a Mockingbird. Black and white, old as shit.
Very old.
Somehow feels older than 12 Angry Men,
Yep.
even though it's half a decade younger. Directed by Mulligan. What's his first name?
Robert.
Bob Mulligan. It's not very good. To Kill a Mockingbird, I'm just gonna go out here and say it right on top. Am I walking out on a limb? I'm not sure, but To Kill a Mockingbird, not very good. Definitely not great. Almost bad. Disagree or agree?
No, I guess I'll be walking out with you. Yeah.
We're dying together,
dying
on
together.
this hill.
Yep. It's not great. It's really not. I guess it picks up a little bit throughout the movie, but not enough.
Yeah, it only really kind of picked up for me in the courtroom, which was not very much of the film. I don't know why anyone would call this a court drama when we spend 15 minutes there, maybe.
What's that Christmas movie? Miracle on
34th Street.
34th Street? Is that a court drama?
Well, I wouldn't call it one, but...
Okay. I guess if you call that one, then it's fair to call this one.
That's fair.
But no.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, and if you approach it from the proper perspective, it can't be a court drama because it's from a little girl's perspective. So there's nothing. It's, she's 6. She's supposed to be 6.
Yes. I mean, even it's funny you say that it's from her point of view because I'm just
saying that because of you.
Yeah, well, the book is from her point of view, but the movie's not doing a great job letting us know that it's from her point of view. There's certain scenes where we kind of get that, but it's like they're not sticking with it. It's like, okay, it's from her point of view, but then they completely just do something else, and then they maybe are reminded. It's like, oh, wait. We're supposed to be seeing this from Scout's point of view. Okay, and then they forget again.
Yeah, it's kind of tonally fucked up in that way. I agree. There's probably like 3 bits where it really starts to embrace it, and then and they're pretty good. It seems like they kind of know what they had in those moments, probably because of the book, and they were like, all right, we know that we have these really great scenes that can happen. And I didn't particularly think any of them were all that great because I don't think the acting in this was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Atticus was, obviously the star. He was pretty good, but I mean, the only really standout performance I think was Tim Robinson's character. I don't know his actor, but him in the courtroom was very easily the best.
Tom Robinson.
His name's Tom Robinson?
No. You said Tim.
Oh, his name's Tom in the movie?
Tom, yeah.
Yeah.
His actor name is Brock Peters.
Brock Peters. Is he in a bunch of stuff?
Is he?
I don't know.
He looked... Well, I'm not going to say he looked familiar because I don't see old stuff, but also don't know how old he is. Okay, yeah, he's got a pretty big filmography on Wiki. Apparently, he was in the Wild Thornberrys movie. He voiced Jomo? Jomo? I don't know who that is. Huh.
I liked that movie when I was little.
The Importance of Being Earnest. That sounds like a popular movie. Star Trek.
He's in Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Some Star Treks.
Yeah. His performance in the courtroom was definitely the standout, which just, it really leaves you left with, I wish I could have gotten more of Tom Robinson. Instead, we got the shining, what do they say? The knight in shining armor?
Yeah.
The white knight in shining armor that is going to express, tolerance, because that's the bar we want to hit at any point in time. But, and then on the counter side of that, ironically, the worst performance, which was terrible in every sense of the word, was the victim here, the so-called victim, that little girl. Oh my god, dude. She sucks. I hope she never got a job after this. She should not quit her day job.
Mayella. Yeah, I mean, besides Tom Robinson, everyone else. Well, okay, maybe Atticus too. Everyone else was either just okay or they sucked. I mean, Mayella's performance didn't even stick out as that bad because, her dad was equally bad.
Yeah, her dad kind of sucked too.
He sucked. And I don't know if they told him, pretend to be, this really, really dumb, mean country person from nowhere, Alabama. He's like, all right, got it. And
it's bad.
Did awful.
It's really surprising how bad some of this movie is, especially because of how loved this film is. I cannot tell you how loved this film is. I mean, I don't know anyone personally, but the internet, unless I'm just being gaslit on a universal level.
Oh, shit.
All right. We all are, I guess. The people who don't like this movie, we're all collectively being gaslit by the other collective. And that this movie's not good. This movie's actually, I think, borderline bad in a lot of ways. I guess I will say the three scenes that I think that helped kind of elevate the child perspective here were when Jam was looking in the neighbor's house with shadow looming over him. That one. I guess the next one chronologically would have been the one right outside the jailhouse with her dad, and she interrupted the lynch mob. This fucking gentrified ass lynch mob. Jesus. That was the lousiest lynch mob I've ever seen in my life. And then the last one was at the very tail end of the movie with her and Jam getting attacked by Mr. Yule. Is that his name?
Yeah.
And then, we see her, they really go hardcore on that one, especially because we see her eyes through the ham costume and the shadow of Jam getting attacked by Yule. So that's like, that's okay. It's fun. It's cool. Okay. If we could have stuck with that a little bit more, instead we had to, focus on Mr. Sexy Atticus. And because he's the star of the movie, right? We're paying him $50,000, so we got to get our money's worth.
I was reading somewhere that he actually, what's his name? Gregory Peck, actually asked for more screen time. Oh. He kind of demanded it, basically, and they cut out some of the children scenes that they had already and try to give him more time, especially in the courtroom. Because the courtroom scenes in the courtroom in the book, I want to say it was over the course of a few days, which, that makes sense. And I completely understand how you can't really have that in...
That's going to be the movie.
A movie, yeah.
If it's going to take that long, that's going to be the movie.
Right. So, what was I going to say? Oh, well, I guess with him demanding that, they were like, okay, well, let's give him more courtroom time. And let's just, give him more time.
And that is not, I mean, we could still have that, but we should have had the perspective of the kids from up top with, the people they were hanging out with up there.
Yeah.
And that could have worked because we could have been from the perspective of those kids and maybe not heard or understood everything because they were so far away. And we would have just known that it wasn't our place to really understand what was going on anyways.
Yeah. And in the book, Atticus tells them that they're not allowed to go to the courtroom. They're not allowed to see this case at all. He wants them as far away as possible. So that's kind of one of the reasons why they're up there with all the, colored people, the black folks, because they're not supposed to be there. And who's going to notice them?
I got a question.
Anyway, at the top.
I got a question. Is the top for the accused, like the side of the accused, or was that the side for black people?
It was the side for black people.
Okay.
They were segregated. Yeah.
Okay, they were segregated. Yeah, I was just wondering, because I can see that making sense at one point in time, maybe to make sure that the accused aren't mingling with the, what's the other word? The, the prosecutors.
The prosecution, yeah.
Because he might help mitigate some kind of violence or something. But I guess it's just for black folks hanging out up there.
Yeah, and I know we've covered child acting in especially Ender's Game, but oh my gosh, I mean, these children sucked.
These children suck.
They all sucked. And I know Dill is not a main character. It's really just Atticus, Jem, and Scout are kind of 3 main characters, and then everyone else gets sprinkled in. But Dill is pretty important to the book, mainly with Scout's friendship. They become best friends, and Dill's basically in love with her and kind of teaches her about outside perspective on things, and because he's not from was it Macomb County? He's from Meridian, right? He said Meridian, Mississippi.
Yeah, apparently Macomb is not real.
Yeah.
Not real place. Inspired by Monroeville or whatever.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't know what it was supposed to be, but Monroeville, Alabama? Is that what you said?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then, he's kind of this, like, outside perspective, and he's this friend that comes and visits them in the summer because he comes and sees his aunt. So, she's has this anticipation and kind of can't wait to tell Dill stuff. And I mean, he's just a talker. He's a liar. They love to tell stories. And, we don't see any of Dill's personality in the movie. And that's just this, it's just this secondary character. So, okay, I get that. You want to focus on the, big dudes, but you don't even portray Scout, our main girl, well at all.
The only thing they really do a good job on her with is that she's a tomboy. They hit that out of the park, I think, but it's not her personality,
Yeah.
It helps build some personality, but it helps build an aesthetic too, but she's hardly there. And then Jam, we don't know anything really about him, except he does see himself as kind of a man of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it, though.
Yeah, I mean, Scout she's very observant, and she voices a lot of her observations out loud. So she's super talkative and asks, kind of inappropriate questions that a kid shouldn't be asking. But Atticus is the kind of dad he is that he doesn't mind his children asking questions, because he thinks that'll teach them to be real, truthful people of the world or whatever. And I mean,
yeah, they seem to have a very adulty relationship.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for one, they call him Atticus.
Yeah. And I don't think we got any of that through, or I don't think we got Scout's personality in that way, with her just excessive talking and her excessive questioning. And yeah, I don't know.
I don't think we got her inquisitiveness. We didn't get any kind of character from her. Like, we didn't get any childlike qualities you might expect, or
I guess we got some of the bits where she's fighting one of the Cunningham's kids, Walter, I think that's his name. She's fighting Walter because he called Atticus black people lover, except he used another word. And she beat him up. She's like, no, how dare you call Atticus that, and beats the crap out of him. And then Jim's like, come on, Walter, come home with us and we'll feed you dinner. So that right there is just a little bit of their personalities, Scout is this type of person, kind of impulsive, and she's going to stand up for what she believes, especially, her dad, Atticus. And she does it through a very rough way, I guess. And then we see, a little bit of Jem's personality where he's like, no, we have to, this is Walter Cunningham. He doesn't know any better. He's just kind of repeating what everybody else is saying. And Scout, you're kind of being ridiculous. The Cunninghams are good people. And they bring him home to dinner. And I kind of like this scene quite a bit. Because we have Walter here who's, I think in the book, he quits school midway. He just comes for the lawful amount of days he has to go, which is the first week or something. And then he goes home and helps out because, they have a farm or whatever they have to do. And they're just that kind of family. And we do get a little bit of Mr. Cunningham in the beginning when he brings Atticus some food. I don't know what he brings him. And Scout is like, why is he bringing you food? Why isn't he paying you, money? And then Atticus is like, well, that's just what the Cunninghams do. That's all they can do. They don't have money to pay me, so he brings me what he can. And she's like, oh, okay, well, all right. That's how it is. So I kind of like that. And, he's asking for syrup to put on his dinner. And Scout's like, what? Why are you covering your meal with dinner? And then, Cal, their cook, I guess. I think she's just the cook, and she doesn't live with them, or she's not even a babysitter really. She just cooks for them and does kind of their cleaning and
and she kind of parents them.
Yeah, a little bit. And then she goes home. She has a house. She has, I think, her own kids. I don't know really much about Cal, but then she hits Scout, which
I mean that's kind of an important point though. Why would you? Because it's Scout's perspective. We shouldn't know much about Cal.
Yeah.
Which I guess they do an okay job there.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, we're grasping at straws really on that point because they really don't. Even when we're with Scout, we hardly have a child's perspective, like we said.
Yeah. Then Cal, kind of smacks her around for being rude to her guest, which was funny to see because you don't have a lot of that in movies. I wonder if older movies do this more.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
It was just funny.
We should bring back children getting beaten movies. I'm all for it.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
And we should be able to murder kids in video games. That's often not allowed.
I was gonna say that. Does that not happen already? I could see video games doing that.
Nope. Usually kids are not in games, and then when they are, they're just immortal.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm gonna agree with you on that one here.
So did you know that Dill was inspired by Harper Lee's childhood friend?
No, I did read that her dad Atticus was inspired by her dad, but not Dill. Okay.
Her friend, you want to know her friend's name?
Sure.
Truman Capote, another American author. His most famous book is probably In Cold Blood.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. That's cool, isn't it?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I guess he went on to become an author. She just wrote one book.
And then you do Dill like this in the movie?
I know, right?
God.
And it seemed like she was pretty ecstatic about the film coming together. She liked that Atticus got on board real quick, and she's probably got offered quite a bit of money to get this going. And it kind of sucks that something so... It's kind of a funny thing to say, but maybe something so historically significant to the United States, her book, got kind of done dirty like this. But again, people think this film is great.
That's so crazy you tell me that because, one, I don't know people who have told me that this film is great, but I also don't hang out with a lot of people that watch a lot of films. So, there's something to be said there. But it sucks. It just sucks. I mean, there's nothing creative.
There's no character.
There's no character.
There's no setup.
Yeah, there's no setup. I mean, I guess in our previous episode, we talked about the one thing that 12 Angry Men lacked was the score. And, same here. The score didn't stand out. Nothing great about it. Very simple. So, again, is that something they could have helped or not? We don't know for the time. But the score sucked.
Yeah, and in retrospect, you gotta, I guess, be tolerant and patient with the medium of the time, right? Like we talked about in 12 Angry Men. But that means that the characters and the composition and the story, they really need to be that much better, Because, all the old folks in my life have always kind of commented on older movies being more character driven and just full of really kind of poignant, poignant dialogue, is that the word? And we get some decent dialogue here, but it really doesn't set it apart from any other schlock from any other time period, so I don't. It's just, this is not too far removed from a Hallmark movie, minus the no love, really. I could see this being a Netflix movie, I guess, really, should say.
Yeah, I feel like people only like the movie because of the book. Or maybe it's like I want to love this film because I love the book. And you can't really separate one from the other, which is a crazy thing, but I could see that happening.
Can't think of another example that might fit that. I wish Ender's Game was like that. I wish everybody loved Ender's Game, the movie, and so we just have a more modern kind of feeling on the thing. Not that Ender's Game book maybe is as important as Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, but I don't know. Maybe they're equally important. What is up with the end? Because the rest of the movie's pretty whatever. It's so uninteresting and doesn't set up anything for any character. We go through the court case. Tom Robinson gives his spiel. They try to make it where he's very obviously not guilty. They do a decent job of that. We have to sit through this psychotic little girl's spiel about how she was attacked. And oh my God, if you don't want to watch this movie, please just watch the court case. For those two performances, at the very least, you will experience, you'll be like, whoa, that's pretty good for, you'll just say that, whoa, that's pretty good. And then for the girl, you'll be like, whoa, that's impressively bad. You didn't think that didn't stand out to you that was so bad?
Like I said, everything else was so bad that just this one bad didn't specifically stand out. Like when Dill was shaking Atticus' hand.
Yeah, he shook the hand, real limp, and then just ran around him.
Yeah. So,
what was the director like? He was like, go shake his hand and then just get behind him. Like, what?
What? Okay. All right.
That's not how people do anything. What the fuck?
So, no, it didn't particularly stand out as bad because it was all bad. And then I just thought they were trying to do her like, Mr. Yule. These are the Yules. They're stupid.
Yeah. Whew. It's rough. This is rough. Why is this movie loved? I don't know.
Yeah, and then another point you brought after we watched the movie was, I don't know how you phrased it. You can remind me here. But, Atticus's kind of lack of, or I think you said taking it at face value when the sheriff told him that.
Yeah, when the sheriff told Atticus that Tom had tried to escape and got shot by, because the sheriff or whoever doesn't have great aim, so he kind of missed and hit and killed Tom.
Yeah, it was an accident.
And and Atticus just doesn't think that's fucking suspicious. What? Cops have always been controversial figures in all of time. It's just a little strange it's just a little strange that the director and writers and maybe a little bit of Harper Lee, not less Harper Lee. I guess it's hard to bring her into this because if she took Scout's perspective, that's an essential direction and vision and through line we have through the book that they may actually run with.
Well, before you say your point, in the book, they do say he was shot 17 times.
In the book, they say he was shot. So they basically confirm that some suspicious shit went down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So that just, I mean, you don't need to get shot 17 times and it not be personal. That's not how that works. It's so fucking bad. Oh man, Tom, that sucks. You know how fucking racist and fucked up your little Alabama town is. You live there, you know? You tried to stand up for this guy when a lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, you made that kind of a point in the movie, Atticus. Gregory Peck.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Don't you have some motherfucking questions? And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go tell his now widowed wife, you know." And then he pulls up, and then he goes in, and I guess she comes out, and that's also fucking weird. That's not a big deal though. But when he says that, she like faints. Yeah, that's really fucking weird and awkward. Just falls. It's like that. It's like when that guy slips in Alien, the beginning of Alien, the first one.
I don't think it's awkward for her to kind of just.
She was just collapse. Like, oh, just fucking fell over. It's just like, what the fuck was that? Give me some hysteria. That's a little melodramatic, but come on, give me something else, man. And then, Yule shows up and he's like, boy, go get Atticus. And it's just like, what? And then they look at him and they behave like they're afraid of him. Like, what the fuck? These guys are not afraid of this drunkard, There's like, how many guys sitting on the porch? 7 or 8?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys on the porch.
Boy, go get... What? They're not going to fucking take that. I don't care what time period it is.
They're going to beat the shit out of him. No one's there to witness.
It's weird. It's weird and kind of tone deaf, I think, even for the time. It's not... There's nothing risky about it. There's nothing risque about it. There's nothing fucking interesting about this movie at all.
Yeah. And, in the book, after Tom Robinson's death, Jim takes it particularly hard. He's just, his mood completely all changes. He starts kind of being a little bit more mature and more grown up because, he sees, like, how cruel the world is and kind of his county that he lives in, and he's always kind of loved and admired the people that live there. Probably very close community. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's everybody's neighbor, whatever. And he has to face like the harsh realities, and we don't get any of that. We don't get any of the aftermath of this great point that the book made, that the film, I'm assuming, is trying to make. And we get none of the consequences, none of the repercussions of your great point.
No, we get a little bit of a happy ending.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? And then we bring in the mysterious Bo from out of fucking nowhere, who kills Boo, my bad, not Bo. Boo from out of fucking nowhere, who kills Yule, and Jam's all beat up and he's put into the bed and they're watching over him, and then Boo's fucking behind the bed. I mean the door.
That's so stupid.
It's just like, okay, all right. And then he comes out. He's like kind of a mute or whatever. And the sheriff, or is that the sheriff who pulls up? And it's like, yes. Well, we can't incarcerate this guy. It'd be like killing a mockingbird or whatever. And it's just like, I don't hear him singing. He just fucking murdered someone, for one. All right.
Yeah, you don't know anything about him.
No.
This film does an awful job of letting you know why he is the way he is, first of all, so you could feel sorry for him. So you can feel why he is a mockingbird. We have none of the interactions he has with kids. I mean, we kind of do with the whole tree present given thing.
That is so shoot in and forced. I will say my favorite bit in the whole movie, unrelated to the movie really, is when I guess it's Boo's dad covers the hole up with cement. That is like the most Twin Peaks shit I've ever seen in a movie.
It's funny, and I think in the book he does do that, but he does it overnight. You know, the kids aren't watching, nobody's watching. He just went out there and did it, and then the kids wake up and then they see it's covered with cement. They're like, "What?
Was that not a Lynchian thing?"
Yes.
Like he was covering that up, and the kids were like looking at him
watching.
like, "What the like?"
And
they're
no
just
one's saying nothing.
Yeah, no one's saying anything. Important Lynchian point, you know. That
and then
not
the kids
very much dialogue.
Start walking away.
Yeah,
and then they take off.
I could very easily have seen that in a Twin Peaks episode, but
I mean, we don't get any of that. What's supposed to be a very kind of childlike interaction between them. We don't get that. We don't get that connection.
Nope. That's
and then now here's the end, and we finally see Boo, which that's fine. You know, we don't see him in the book either until the very end.
But you have to see him through dialogue, though. You have to see him through like silhouettes or something. You have to see him in some other way. You don't have to actually see him. Because it can be a big reveal, kind of like, you know, how we could have done with Michael Jordan in Air, right? We saw him, but we didn't see him, right? And they could have had that big reveal with him putting his shoes on. They didn't, because they have fucking bozos running, you know,
You mean they have award-winning
director Ben Affleck running the ship over there. Fucking bozo working at Dunkin' Donuts and shit. Give me my dozen, Ben.
Oh, you're killing me. And Boo is, you know, we kind of have two stories here in this film/book. We have Tom Robinson's case, and we have Boo Radley. And, you know, we're supposed to draw parallels from both of their lives on how they are mockingbirds. And how, you know, kind of...
I mean, Tom's the only
here.
mockingbird here.
And they just do Boo dirty like that. Like, dude, come on. Why?
Don't even bring him up. Let's just change that.
Great.
Or just have him as the mysterious neighbor or whatever, you know? And he doesn't get brought up at all. He is not brought into the ending or anything. He's just this mysterious background thing that entertains the kids on some level. Or just like the weird house, you know? I guess he is in the weird house, right? That's one reason it's weird, because Boo's in there and chained to his bed, right? So we can just play that up a little bit, because that's just a part of being a kid, is you have that house, you have that place in the woods where you see a face, you're afraid of things, right? We should play up that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard to do in the 60s, the early 60s, 50s, whatever, because the craft is just not there to tell a cinematic story quite yet, and you do kind of need an exaggerated cinematic, you know, storytelling device when it comes to telling a kid's story on camera, right? It's not, your imagination can kind of take the reins in a book a lot easier, because you've been a kid.
Yeah.
You've got that familiarity. You have to, you know, really kind of elevate that in cinema, which I get is hard, but it's just no excuse, you know, for why this movie is ass today. You want to see a great kid's experience? You may hate the movie, you may love the movie, but the Florida Project, Sean Baker's Florida Project, I know you don't like it very much, or you didn't finish it.
No, I think I finished it. I just thought it was kind of weird and silly,
but it's just,
I don't remember it now.
It's kind of a slice of life of a couple of kids living in slummy outskirts of, or slummy kind of suburbs of Orlando, and I think it does a really excellent job showing you the world from children's perspective, or this, you know, the main girl's perspective. At least it sticks with it, you know. I hate it for you, man, because I know you love this book.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put this in my favorite books of all time, but it's definitely a book I have read and reread, and just, you know, I love it. You know how you have films that you love and appreciate, but they're not really your favorite?
Sure, yeah.
I think I would put it in that field. And I don't know. I know it's hard, first of all, to make movies kind of first person, because
we're not in their head.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can have a heavy narrative, but you really set yourself up for a very specific kind of movie or a very specific kind of tone, and then it's hard to get out of the narrative.
Yes.
Or it's hard to get away from the narrator, I should say.
And then I understand that, there's a lack here for child actors, especially child actors that are supposed to be 6 years old. Like, oh my gosh, I bet that's fucking hard to find.
Yeah.
If at all possible.
Yeah.
So,
these kids weren't even 6. Yeah, these kids were probably, I would guess, probably.
I think she was 10. I think she was 10.
She was 10 when she was casted?
13. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say 8, 9, 10. I was going to say, yeah. It helps you. Man, we haven't brought up Harry Potter in a while, but this kind of shit, we still struggle with this to this day, finding kid actors, child actors. They're rare. They're super rare. But, man, I don't know how old Harry, Ron, and Hermione were in that first movie, but they were probably 12, 13, 14, right? Maybe not 14.
Were 12. They not like 11?
Were they 11 when they were casted?
Almost right, or like almost
the right age?
The right age?
Oh, I'm not sure. But, man, it just... Yeah, 14 may be a little too old. That didn't feel right at all, does it? Harry was 12? Yeah. So we're starting to get away from that child actor there, but, I mean, still, it forces you to love them so much more. They are so good. I mean, I think... I've said it maybe on the podcast before.
Hold on. So it says he was 11 when they started filming, and by the time it released, he was 12. So he was 11. He was the age, yeah.
I think those 3 in the first movie gave the best performance out of all of the Harry Potter films. And they only got older. You would think they might get a little better, but I feel like they... and that, has something to do with direction for sure. The director, of course, Josh Yates, I think that director is for the final 4 movies. He's trash. He fucked up Harry Potter. We all know that. We should have had Alfonso finish out the series. The guy who did the 3rd one would have been good shit.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, so I mean, there's certain things that just I know they don't work well, and for the time, the 60s, early 60s, I don't know much about film. I don't know much about film in general, let alone the early 60s.
Yeah.
Like, I can only imagine. Get creative. Get creative.
We just saw a really great, creative, older film.
Yep. And
in a way, much more ambitious from a storytelling perspective, because it was in a single fucking room.
Yep.
All right. We had a street to work with here, right? I don't know exactly what the sets looked like and stuff. I know a lot of this was done on set. They made all these houses and everything. None of this was filmed on location at like an older place. They did go to scout like where she used to live in Monroeville or whatever the fuck it was called in Alabama, and apparently everything had updated. It looked way too modern, which is hilarious.
They're like, well, fuck, we can't film here.
So they recreated a lot of where she lived and stuff, and she approved of it. She thought it was really cool, which I'm sure it was. I'm sure building all that out and stuff. I bet she was really fun too, doing all that. I guess you're just building houses. If building houses is fun, I guess that sounds kind of fun. In small bursts, maybe not as a full-time job.
Yeah. So these men in one room, stuck in one room, the whole entire film, and they didn't even have names. Had way more personality than this, this movie with people with names, people of a county that has a book. You have a reference material.
It was
to make it awesome.
And it begged for more caricatures. We had racial tension. We had political tension. We had the chance for mass hysteria, which we got a little. We definitely got some of that in 12 Angry Men too, but we didn't get any of that here. That lynch mob, oh my god, it's the worst lynch mob I've ever fucking seen. They should have. I don't know how you do a lynch mob right, especially after this shit. I would be afraid to do it too.
Shrek, go watch Shrek.
The first Shrek,
yeah,
the very beginning. It's a great lynch mob. Because it's a good point, that setup, because we see them working their way there. They're kind of menacing. They're building this up, and then when they get there, the camera's looking down on them. They're tiny, and Shrek's like, "Oh, hey, hello," or he's behind them, right?
Yes.
He's like, "What are you guys doing?" And then he's like, then he's basically like, "Hello, how are what are you guys doing?" And they're all fucking terrified. It's awesome. And he burns out the torch, right, with his fingers and stuff. Not that you can do that here, but you gotta get creative. But you really do.
You can at least do the build up of them walking.
Yeah.
Maybe have somebody with fire. I don't know. Maybe make them look all dirty. I don't know. That would help add something.
Yeah, this is when I know people don't want to work with certain kinds of people just because, it's expensive or, you just the optics or whatever and everything. This is when you got to get some racist motherfuckers as some kind of consultant, and you're like, okay, we're building this kind of scene and stuff. What would you and your racist motherfucking friends do?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Don't fuck with, don't kid glove this shit. We need to make it realistic. We don't, and make it, in fact, we should stick with Scout's perspective and make it worse than it is, make it scarier than it is.
Yeah, maybe, angle the camera to make them look even bigger than they are.
Yeah, and they have dogs and they're barking.
Yeah.
And it's scary stuff, and they have fire, and maybe they even bring like weird weapons that, they just wouldn't bring, and then to help kind of elevate this, like, oh, this is from the kids' perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They, of course, they're not going to have a fucking, I don't know, a ball and chain or whatever, or some crazy shit.
Some ready to go noose. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great point. Make them creep around. Make more come out from the bushes. Make them dirty. Make them have weird weapons. Angle the cameras to certain ways that makes them look bigger or scarier or something. It wouldn't have been that hard.
I don't think so either. I think I could have done a better job.
Yeah.
And I'm not a filmmaker. But I think I can do this better than a lot of filmmakers. So maybe I am a filmmaker.
Yeah, maybe.
You are too. Maybe you are too.
Well, maybe. Give me a few more episodes. We'll see.
A few more episodes? Okay.
And I know this isn't, one of our typical movie book comparisons, but there were some other elements in the book that I wish they would have brought into the film.
Such as?
So I know they kind of played a little bit with Scout's tomboyness. And, they gave us that little funny scene when she's wearing a dress to her first day of school and everyone's kind of making fun of her. And which is
one of the standout scenes of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's a standout scene of the movie either, but it is. It's probably top 10, top 10 little bits.
Yeah. And in the book, she actually struggles with that a lot. She struggles with kind of this gender role she has to play in this county, and kind of growing up without a mother figure, and the closest thing she has to a mother figure is Cal. But, she's the black cook, so, she can't exactly be influenced by her according to society, like that's not your example, Scout. You can't, that's not what you should be doing. So, I think it's Atticus's sister or some relative of, or aunt or something. I think it's maybe Scout's aunt. I don't know, but it's a relative of Atticus, and her name is Miss Alexandria, and we don't see her in the film at all.
Who's that white lady that sits with Atticus at one point?
I know they called her Miss Maudie, I think, and she's a neighbor, and she kind of looks after the kids every once in a while, and her and Atticus are neighbors, and they kind of have this friendship. And in the book, I think her house catches on fire, so there's this whole thing with that, and that's actually a fucking great opportunity that they could have played in this film. That I think when the fire happens in the book, Scout's there and she's sleepy and she's tired because it's at night. And I want to say someone, which is Boo, we're supposed to think Boo, gives her a blanket so she can kind of comfort herself. Come on, easy. You don't even have to show us this great big firefighting scene. Just make Scout go to the fire and, she's just watching and getting sleepy and someone gives her, like, that's what, 5 minutes? I'm sure it's a lot more in, production. So, okay, but
yeah, probably a whole day.
It's necessary here for me to feel sorry for this guy. But, back to Miss Alexandria. She's there to teach Scout the importance of being a lady, and makes her have like tea time with all these other ladies, and she's always getting on to Scout about wearing pants, because ladies don't wear pants and stuff. So it's hard to bring elements like this
when no character has character. she was just awkwardly fucking there.
Yeah
Awkward.
She was. And then there's Mrs. DeBose, which I think we got a little bit of her in the beginning. It was the old lady that I don't know what she was saying, and then the kids were hiding behind Atticus while Atticus was trying to talk to her.
Oh, in the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning when she was rocking on her chair, or her rocking chair, or whatever.
I don't think I could understand her.
Yeah, and I think we're not supposed to completely. She's not all there, I think.
Okay.
But she's addicted to drugs. She's addicted to morphine, and
it's like the only drug in the 30s. Then opium.
And I don't know exactly what Jim did. I think he like messed up some of her flowers or did something to her flower bed. And so one of his punishments was to read to her. So every day he would go read to Mrs. DeBose. And, where, of course, the Scout goes with him. And she just sits there and listens to him read. And she doesn't understand why Mrs. DeBose is laying in bed, sweating, screaming, being angry, going through withdrawals, because she's about to die, and she wants to die.
Hi.
No, she wants to die drug-free.
Oh.
So she's going through her withdrawals.
Okay.
And Tim and Jim reading to her helps her kind of distract her from all this pain she's feeling.
Okay.
And so I think weeks go by. I think it was 2 weeks. That was his punishment. And then she dies. And Jim was like, why the fuck did I read to her? And she was just going to die. Like, why'd you make me do that, Atticus? And then, big teaching moment for Atticus to show the kids that you got to put yourself in other people's shoes. And he tells her what happened. And, another learning moment for Jim, not Scout. She's just like, what just happened? But
I will say Atticus is a likable character. He's probably the only likable character, because we get most of what we get is mostly Atticus. But he is a hero of sorts, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's a very understanding and progressive person who has a sense of real ethics. He understands that, because he even he says at one point in the movie that at least in the courtroom we're all equal. It's a little something.
Yeah.
Because he means more, even because what he says some stuff to Scout and Jam about the schoolyard shit and stuff, and he's like, society's kind of behind the way we should be thinking.
Yeah.
But you still need to think the right way. So, what were you gonna say?
This was Harper Lee's kind of dedication book, like a love book to her dad. That's how much she loved him and admired all the values and principles that he brought to her life. So maybe that's why it makes sense that she really appreciated this film, because give or take, Gregory Peck did an excellent job.
He did a good job
portraying what her father was to her. So
that's good. He won an Oscar for this too.
I think I saw that.
Which is cool. Cool for him, but I don't know how earned it is. I never really know how fucking earned it is, to be honest. Oscars are so loaded.
Yeah.
RRR got snubbed. Motherfuckers.
That's true. That will never be forgotten.
I'm never forgetting. And Pig got snubbed.
Was that last year too? Pig was last year?
I think that was 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Because we missed those Oscars. Those are the Will Smith getting slapping Chris Rock Oscars.
There was another character in the book. I don't remember his name. Mr. Dolphus, I think that's his name. And he is married to he's a white man, and he's married to a black woman, and they have interracial kids. And he's kind of, outcasted by the white community and blends in with the black folks. He kind of goes to their church, goes to their grocery, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of blends in with them more. And he carries around a bottle in a brown bag. And he just says weird shit, and he's,
So is he drunk?
So that's what he's leading people to believe. But then there's this little moment with him and Scout and Dill too, I think, that Dill was thirsty, and he's like, here, have some. And when they uncovered it, it was a Coke bottle. And they were like, what? Why? We thought you were drunk. And he's like, no, I'm just letting people think what they want to think.
He's playing Diogenes.
I don't know what Diogenes is. What is that?
He's a Greek philosopher who would play tricks on people like that just to pull out their true character. Yes.
Yeah, that's basically what he's doing. And it's, again, Scout's perspective. So she's like, that's weird. Why are you lying to people? But, we're supposed to understand a little bit more than that. And I'm like, that's also so small and simple to put in this movie. And again, back to the...
Not small and simple, man. That is essential for this film. The core of this film is Tom Robinson's court case. I know that maybe not in the book, but in the film, that definitely is. And so we need to have everything that has everything to do with any black folks who live in this community on screen. We definitely needed more of Tom probably in this movie in some way or another. And that could have helped, kind of round out the other side of this. And especially with the kids kind of learning something. We had a few moments of that. That was probably one of the big through lines of this movie, is Atticus trying to teach his kids a little something.
Yeah.
And that would have been a really good one to have.
Yeah.
That sucks. That's the most interesting thing you've told me so far about this. This book definitely isn't for me. That early, not super early, but that 1930s to 1950s. I guess the book came out in 1960, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it's kind of the 50s, 40s kind of cut, because that's, she's talking about it. That's, the time she grew up and stuff. That's the
I think it's supposed to be placed in the 30s?
Yeah.
After the Depression?
Yeah, or during. Doesn't the Depression 25 years? From the 20s to their 40s? The early...
I guess war, right?
What?
World War II?
Yeah, up to World War II.
Yeah. So that started in the 30s.
Yeah, it started in 39.
Like late 30s.
38.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And not a big fan of American or 1930, 40, 50 American literature. It just doesn't resonate with me quite like schools want it to. That's kind of one of the main genres or time periods of literature schools seem to want you to read here in the States. I like that. That's good shit. Especially if that actually happened. That's good shit.
And, I'm sure there's many other things I'm not remembering from this book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how hard to do these things? Especially like the fire scene.
Not hard.
Or this scene right here.
That would have been a great scene. The fire scene would have been harder, I guess, obviously, because they would have burned down a house.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
just have the fire, we see it, we see just Scout, and there's something on fire, and we just see it reflecting off of her, and we don't actually have to see a house on fire.
You are a filmmaker.
Thank you.
That would have been great, because that would have just kind of echoed the few scenes that we did see that happen with her. We saw her expression of what was happening and stuff, and it could have, we could have very easily had that. Yeah, good. Come on. I will say that dog scene was awkward, weird, pointless scene.
Yes, because the point of this scene in the book is just for the kids to realize that Atticus is not as lame as they thought he is, and that's you have better shit to show here than that. Especially when the whole time you haven't even given us that the kids think this about Atticus.
I know they wanted him, or at least Jam wanted him to teach him how to shoot, But I did not get the feeling that they thought he was lame.
Yeah, because in the book, Atticus is, he's in his 50s. So he's older than most parents.
This Atticus.
What do you mean?
This Atticus is not in his 50s.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And he's, the kids that they go to school with, their parents are very young. And here's Atticus. He's very old. And he doesn't have a very laborious, intensive job. He's a mind man, not a
hand man.
Yeah, hand man. And he doesn't throw the football around. He's not out there playing with the kids. He's old. So they're like, okay. And then they find out Atticus can shoot and he's a great shot. And then they don't even find that out through Atticus. Atticus doesn't tell them. They see him do it, and then the sheriff tells them man, you should have seen your dad back in the day, blah blah blah. And they're like, what? And that's it. That's pretty much it. Oh, and they also have this great bit in the book where Cal takes the kids to her church. I don't know what Atticus has to do that he's like, can you take them with you, please? Because I have to do this. And at the time, he was kind of worried about Mr. Yule hurting his kids. And that's why Aunt Alexandria had to come live with them too, to keep an eye on the kids, because he knew how rough this case was going to get. And Cal takes them to a black church, and they get this new perspective on the, black community. And then that's how they know the Reverend and go sit up there with him when they find him in the court case.
Yeah, they just happen to know him.
Yeah, they just happen to know him then. It's like, how do you know him? So
I figured there were probably only, he was probably the only Reverend in town, and there may have been a pastor at the other church or something. And so, everybody just knows the Reverend and the pastor.
Yeah.
And so I could see that in a small town, but yeah, that would have helped. That would have helped round out this blackness we could have really done for in this film.
And I think we also see a little bit of Tom Robinson at the church and his family and people kind of embracing him, and then, the prayer and all of this, spiritual stuff that goes on in church for him, for Tom. And, instead of the fucking rabid dog scene, you should have put that in there.
Yeah, but that rabid dog, you didn't have to cut him a check.
Oh my.
You think they were going to cut all those black people checks in 1960?
I don't know if this is true, but I also read that they didn't credit Tom Robinson's wife in the credits. Is that true? Did you?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I think that's not uncommon for the time when people don't have lines. So a lot of those guys on the porch and up in the gallery in the gallery and the jury probably weren't credited. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty common.
So it wasn't just specifically her.
No.
I guess what I read was kind of biased, that they didn't say, oh, well, it kind of was common.
Yeah.
And these people probably didn't get credited either. It's like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's probably a little weird because she did have a little performance. She fell over. She gasped and fell or whatever, or started crying. So there's maybe something contentious there. But yeah, those other guys on the porch, like the guy who handed Atticus his hat when he left.
Yeah.
I don't know. He had as big of a performance as she did, basically. Well, she did fall over, I guess, but did he get credit? No, he didn't get credited.
Damn,
So,
that sucks.
yeah, that still happens occasionally, especially with background.
Yeah, I guess my mind went to Walking Dead zombies.
Yeah,
Those are volunteers, right?
yeah. None of those guys are credited.
I guess, I don't know. That makes sense. You can't tell who they are.
Yeah,
They're just zombies.
yeah.
Just do a big,
Thank you all for helping.
Yeah, thank you
you
all,
know who you
zombies.
are. They got their money. They got their $200 for the day. Maybe not quite. Maybe $100 to walk around like a zombie and have cool makeup on.
That's funny.
I will say those zombies probably got paid more than any of the extras in this. Even with inflation.
The last thing I'm going to say about the book is that you might just find this interesting. There were some implications of kind of some incest going on between Mr. Yule and his daughter, Mayella. And that was brought up in the court case. That wasn't brought up in the film, but it's kind of a rough subject.
Yeah, and I think that's a funny, it's not a stereotype, but like that's something, us deep South folk get accused of, right?
It's true.
Especially in, I think, Alabama. I think that's the state that gets targeted the most.
The state? Oh.
Because I think Mississippi is like known for, it's known a little bit more for the old country black men, rock and roll, and like Robert Johnson and stuff, and like that kind of thing. And then Alabama over here,
you got your kissing cousin,
and like known for its like hyper extreme racism and stuff and everything. Because I think that's where a lot of the crazy civil rights shit went down in Alabama.
Rosa Parks was in Alabama, I think, and then I think Emmett Till,
and I think that's where Martin Luther King did a lot of his stuff. Although he did die in Memphis, of course, but I think he's from Alabama too. So, but yeah, that would have been kind of funny to bring up. But I also feel like that's like you're tapping into. They already kind of did start to tap into caricature. He was from Mississippi.
Emmett Till was from Mississippi.
Emmett Till. Oh, they did kind of start to tap into caricatures with Yule and some of the other characters and whatnot. So I know that's kind of a dangerous game, especially with something like this. That's kind of a cartoon thing. You don't quite want that for something that has something meaningful to say. So the incest thing would have been a maybe step too far, even if that really did happen for as far as characters go. Because you can build a real character in a book a lot more from a very specific point of view, right? So we can, if that's like the rumor that's going around school, Yule, Mr. Yule and his daughter are hooking up and stuff. If that happens in school, that makes sense, We could have maybe had that a little bit here, but that would have been kind of a funny thing to negotiate with as far as filmmakers go, because that would have we would have run the risk of making it silly. Yeah,
I guess so. But that was one reason why she was so scared of him too, though.
Yeah, which I guess my point is you kind of need to really play that up in a that it's not funny way, that you're not making fun of Alabama people. You know what I mean? And I think it's real easy to make. I feel like it's real easy to make fun of Alabama people in that way, or at least Deep South people in that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this film didn't do a great enough job to get away with something like that. So
if it would have brought that up, that would have only hurt it more. Yeah, to be honest,
it would have made it weirder. Like, what are you saying?
Yeah, it would have been, because it would have been just like. It would have been like Boo hang him out behind the door. It's just like, and he's right there. He's behind the door. It's like, what the fuck? Why is he there? I don't get it. Yeah, man. That girl. What's her name? Yule's daughter?
Mayella.
Mm-hmm. Her little spiel, man. That was rough to watch. That deserves some YouTube stardom for some cringe compilation. That was bad. It didn't stick out to you like that?
No, it was all bad.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the ham costume was cute.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, I guess. And she was running with that.
Yeah,
that was cute.
But then the whole, Jem getting, both of them really getting beat up, and that whole bit was weird too. That whole thing was bad too.
It was. I agree. Yeah, man. Well, I'd say thank you for watching this film with me, but you put me through this one.
How about I apologize? I'm sorry.
Apology accepted. It's fine. No, I'm glad to cover it. I'm glad to talk about it. I'm glad to have finally seen it, Not that it was on my radar for very long. I've known about it. This is one of those, especially the book at least. Harper Lee, the name. The book title, To Kill a Mockingbird, if you've gone to any public school. Yep. It's just a canonical read that I didn't read, but you just know about. I'm not sure where that comes from, but it's is it an important piece of cinema, literature, history? Sure. But it's so I'm happy to finally get to that and talk about it with you. Thank you for talking about it with me.
No problem.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next one. For the next old film. I know what it is.
Oh, you do know what it is.
Yeah, it takes place in Europe during the Great War.
The Great War?
Yes. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you in South Korea. Thank you in Canada for listening to this podcast. You guys are keeping us afloat.
Thank you.
If you guys have if you from Canada and South Korea, if you have any films specifically that you want us to watch and cover on here, please write in on Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
We'll watch it. We'll cover it. You may or may not like it.
Because the next film is a fan-requested film. And so we will be covering that soon. Until then, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially your Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines signing off.